It's absolutely...
Look at that. That's all that's left.
Do you know whether that's the South Tower or the North Tower?
That's the South Tower.
And you saw no sign of life in here whatsoever?
No, I went all the way right there. Like, I don't know if they edited it out yet, but there's a big hole going down to the ground. There's nobody. And then we ran into somebody else and said they haven't seen anybody. Nobody. But the firemen said, you know, that there's been a lot of people dead, like a lot of firemen died.
Because there were firemen in the building at the time trying to help people evacuate from the building.
Yeah, they said 200 people died. I thought the fireman I talked to said 200 people died already.
And this wall here, this is from part of the tower itself?
Yeah, that's the South Tower, the lobby.
John Steele is a volunteer nurse who hoped to make miracles here, but there have been precious few of those.
You pulled 2 people out of here. Tell me about that.
Approximately 5 o'clock this morning. The sun wasn't really quite up yet. We located 1 victim.
Alive?
No. No. He was unfortunately deceased. What was remaining of the victim, I should say. And shortly after that, we located another victim of the tragedy, also deceased. We were able to retrieve that victim's body also and bring it to the morgue.
Can you describe these people to me?
Physically, I really can't because, fortunately, there wasn't really much left of them.
Did you have a sense of being very far up? Did you have a sense of being a couple of stories up atop the rubble there?
It was really hard to gauge elevation because you're surrounded by some high pieces as well. You're sort of just this sensation of being in something of a valley. And it's just everything is smashed to atoms. There are no big pieces of anything.
These workers, many of them covered with soot, dazed, are telling us that they're literally using everything that they can get their hands on, including their hands, shovels, crowbars, cranes, blowtorches, to try to proceed with this recovery. They're using listening devices, video cameras, heat sensors to try to find victims who might still be trapped inside the rubble. But frankly, and forgive me for the graphic nature of this, the search dogs, they say, are simply being overwhelmed by the smell of human flesh. They are recovering mostly not bodies, only 82 reported recovered thus far, but rather just fragments of human flesh. In fact, some of the people who...
That's right, Peter. I'm here with Jerry Schwartz, who came here from Whitpain Township, Pennsylvania. That's in Montgomery County outside of Philadelphia. He and 4 of his colleagues drove here last night, got here about midnight, and have been working ever since. What exactly have you been doing, Jerry?
Working through the rubble, assisting rescuers up at the first tower, and just removing rubble, concrete, steel, anything in the way, trying to look for people that are alive, any bodies.
Why don't you try and describe the scene there at Ground Zero where the World Trade Center was?
It's devastating there. It's just twisted metal. It just looked like there was a giant explosion. There's just concrete laying everywhere, twisted metal. Nothing's normal there. Everything is just blown apart.
I mean, a police officer that I was talking to he was bagging and tagging fingers and hands, just taking fingerprints. Is this 1 person? Is this 2 people? I mean, is this 3 people? And I mean, the guy's like, these are our own, man. I mean, you know, what are we gonna do?
We see trauma surgeons, EMTs, and paramedics, but they're standing, waiting on the edge of the disaster. There are few rescues, and so nothing to do. Instead, just grim discoveries, body parts instead of bodies.
It is hard to conceive, but 3 days ago, both World Trade Towers rose 1,362 feet into the sky. Visit those same towers today. At their tallest point, they rise maybe 100 feet above the street. And while it's true there are 6 floors below street level, now filled with debris, engineers at the firm that built the building's best guess to account for the missing 1,200 feet of material from each tower is that large portions simply vaporized into the dust that rained down on New Yorkers immediately after the collapse. It was that powerful.
Get out of here!
We're talking here about 43,600 windows, 600,000 square feet of glass, 200,000 tons of structural steel, 5 million square feet of gypsum, 6 acres of marble, and 425,000 cubic yards of concrete, turned in good part into a cloud, says environmental medical doctor Stephen Levin.
I was astonished at the degree to which
solid materials were turned into pulverized dust as a consequence of that building collapse. I think it was striking.
The Environmental Protection Agency has been sampling the dust, and one specialist told ABC they believe the clouds that appeared immediately after the collapse were mostly gypsum dust from drywall, cement dust, and plaster, which can cause problems.
Cement dust is an irritant. Fine glass powder is also an irritating material.
The EPA did find spotty levels of asbestos. A sample on a police car turned out dangerous. Another sample a couple of blocks away, not dangerous. But most interesting, in the mix, they are looking, they think, at specks of steel that used to be beams and elevators, marble from the lobby floor and facings. So what were once the strongest architectural elements in the two towers were pulverized, large portions turned into clouds like this one.